Alright. Hello everybody. Hacklebeast here for yet another week of Gambit Cup action. Today's matchup will be DM versus Pain. And for the first set, we have DM Cryok versus Modesty. Alright, let's get these names in here. DM Cryok. Pretty sure this is spelled Cryok, indeed. Alright. And Modesty Pain. Alright. A ZVT on La Mancha. Oops. This should be teal. And this one should be blue. There we go. So, Modesty is the American Zerg player who has gotten a lot of play time in Nation Wars throughout the season, but hasn't played much for Gambit Cup. I'm not sure if Payne recently picked him up, but Payne hadn't been using him in the past. He's a solid Zerg player who actually I haven't seen a lot of his ZVT. Has seen a lot of his ZVP. On the other hand, we have Cryok, who's German. I'm pretty sure Cryok is German. Anyway, and he's a mid-level Terran player. So it should be a pretty solid matchup. I don't think either one has a terribly big advantage over the other. Although I really haven't seen Modesty's TVZ, so he could be super awesome at it, or he could be super horrible at it. I'm just going to find out. A 12 hatch incoming from Modesty. 12 hatch. I do like 12 hatches are pretty good on 4-player maps. It can be hard to try to do any type of bunker rushing cheesiness on 4-player maps because you're committing a lot of SCVs, and if you don't get them on the first shot, then the bunker rush really has very low success rate. Usually means that the Zerg's safe to do stuff like that. Meanwhile, Cryok going for an in-base barracks first. Now, we're in an age where it's very common for Terrans to go for something really greedy economically. And yes, he's going to go for a command center. It's a little bit odd to build the barracks back in your base. When you do that, you're going to make sure that your Marines are safe, and it's going to be easier to defend your main if Zerglings get in there. But the issue being that sometimes your front can be undefended, and you're not starting a wall at all. Although this map is a bit harder to wall off for as Terran compared to some other ones, so that might have influenced his decision. Anyway, since Modesty was going for the 12 pool, won't have to deal with any early Zerglings, so it shouldn't be an issue going for the faster command center. Now, the third hatchery has been thrown down for Modesty. So most likely 3-hatch Mutalisk. It could be some Hydralisk build, but that would be rather odd, and it has been scouted by Cryok. So he should know the standard timings. It's such a common thing for Zergs. Oh. I think that this guy's supposed to be mining gas. And he is not. Oh, no, apparently he was not supposed to be mining gas. No? No? Yeah. Not supposed to be mining gas. Only 2 guys on gas. Now, engineering bay before the academy. You're not going to need turrets as soon as that engineering bay finishes. Is going to be for a +1, making for some very strong Marines and making that timing attack be a really potent option. Probably what he's going to be looking to exercise here. Excuse me. Now, you can because he got slightly faster gas than normal, he's still going to be able to afford all of his Marine upgrades out of the Academy as well as that +1. So he's not going to delay anything to have it. Other than, if you weren't going for the +1, you could push out a little bit sooner, but since you want to push out when waiting for your +1, you're delaying yourself in that way. But it's not a major delay at all, it's just a little bit. And if you want to end the game with a timing attack, it's definitely going to increase your chances. So, Lair is just about finishing, and because he hasn't thrown out a Hydralisk Den, that does mean he is going for Mutalisk, and the Spire should be thrown down pretty soon. There is still an SCV in the base, so will he try? I'm just looking for where he's going to place the Spire. He did place the Spire in his main after the SCV left. Sometimes you see Zergs like really not want to show the Spire, so they'll build it in the natural, but just waited for the SCV to leave and built it then. He was really late about killing the SCV scout. He had some early Zerglings out and they were poking around the front, but he was content on just letting that SCV sit in the base. And true, the SCV really wasn't gaining anything that wasn't completely expected, but at the same time, you see players a lot more likely to try to stop that SCV scout. And yes, it does look like we are gearing up for a big attack. Throwing down barracks 2, 3, and 4. So he's going to be able to flood out with +1 Marines. And this gets a little bit risky for Terran when they want to go for this kind of strategy, because when you're building Marines off of 4 barracks, you don't quite have the minerals you want to be able to have to spam turrets. So you need to figure out a balance of +1 Marines are very good versus Mutalisks, but you need to be doing something with your Marines. You can either use them for defense, or you can attack your opponent with them and force them to bring their Mutalisks back. But if you're caught in the middle of the map, and then the Mutalisks attack your natural or your main, you're going to sustain a lot of casualties before your Marines are able to run back there, and you just don't have the money to build the turrets. So, first Mutalisks are on the way. It looks like 8. Yes, it looks like 8 Mutalisks at first. Enough to one-shot SCVs. And there's kind of a weird location for... Both of those are weird locations for turrets. Normally there are 3 places you place your turrets. You place them around the natural middle line, you place them around the main middle line, and you place them around the barracks so that Marines don't get picked off as soon as they spawn. But the ones in his main aren't around either the barracks or the mineral line. So kind of interesting placement. Anyway, there's only one missile turret here, so should be able to be picked off pretty easily, but Marines have their +1 finish, are now able to step in, and not even going to lose the turret. Oh, a couple more Zerglings get a little bit too close. Yeah, see, there's 2 missile turrets here, the 2 missile turrets here. Now, it does protect the Marines as they leave the barracks to get over to the rest of the Marines, but it really seems like this is a vulnerable location for Mutalisks. We'll have to see if Modesty can take advantage of a little bit of an orthodox turret placement. Well, Modesty seems to be pushed pretty far back at the moment. He's not having any success penetrating these +1 Marines, but ooh, snipes 2 medics. That's unfortunate. I assume he's making a new batch of them. Yep, 4 more medics on the way. That can be a little bit annoying because until those medics finish, you're a little bit more hesitant to use stim, because you can see this medic only has 6 energy left. It makes you a little bit more wary when you have low medic numbers at this point in the game. Anyway, Lurker upgrade has been finished. Morphing... I'm pretty sure that's 4. There might be some hiding under the Overlord, but looks like 4 at the moment. And getting... Ooh, that's a very fast Queen's Nest. He's going to be going up to Hive off of 3 bases, and one of which not very well saturated. Interesting. Going to go for some really fast tech play. And these Lurkers are just going to be enough to hold off the Terran until the Filers pop. I don't think Modesty was expecting to find turrets up here at all, because he just stopped his Mutalisks up there. He thought it was going to be a safe zone, and was caught by surprise by that. Going to take a lot of unnecessary hits. Now, there's the machine shop being added. You do either need science vessels or siege tanks to deal with Lurkers. You really just cannot do it with Marines unless there's only 1 or 2 Lurkers. But Modesty has enough that tech units are definitely going to be necessary. But Cryok's going to go and avoid Modesty's army and go for an attack. Modesty's going to be completely undefended, but Cryok doesn't exactly have a lot back at his base. Going in with a couple lurkers, there are lots of bunkers at the front, but only one of them is actually populated. These mutalisks are going to take a lot of casualties. It looks like all the mutants are going to go down, and only the lurkers are left, but there are turrets there to spot them, and they're just going to back up a little bit. Going to be able to kill this bunker, probably? I think they're splashing yeah, they are splashing the SCVs, so this is a mistake from Cryok. He's just going to, lose a couple SCVs. He probably should, I think he would have been better off just allowing that bunker to die. But now the lurkers are out of range, so it's going to take scans. The Marines can hit the lurkers, but, yeah, in the bunker still died anyway. Anyway, it's fine. These Marines, though, they were heading up towards this base, but two lurkers on the ramp. I'm not sure if he scouted it, but that would have been a really hard thing to get through. But otherwise, this is still looking pretty fearsome, even without the 5 other lurkers that are still morphing. With just the 2 there, it's going to be too much for that amount of Marines to get through without just almost completely losing all of them. He's going to have to wait for these siege tanks, but he's a little bit cautious moving up because there are 2 lurkers here. He really shouldn't be, because he has siege tanks. He just needs to scan them. How much energy does he have? He has about 3 scans total. And interesting. Going into a mech transition. He already has a starport up, and he's No, he's not quite researching a radiate. Just getting the science vessel. But he's going for a very gas-heavy strategy at this point with only 2 bases. He does have a little bit of gas stockpiled, but he won't be able to sustain it for too long. Anyway, here comes the attack from Modesty. A couple Zerglings in the back. Going to slow down the Marines as they attempt to retreat. And Cryok is going to take the bad end of that deal, losing a lot of M&M. Anyway, siege tanks are now going to be able to... No, not quite. A scan wears off before the siege tanks are able to finish all the last lurkers. It's going to cost him one more scan, but he does have a science vessel almost done. Yeah, just a little bit more. That's a lot of idle SCVs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's not what you want, but it's fine. I know. I'm happy with my new sexy voice too. I didn't even have to hear myself before, but I could tell it was bad. And now it's not bad. This is my gift Christmas present to the Brood War fans. Anyway, man, I don't know why Modesty came out. Just 2 lurkers at the top of the ramp would have been enough to deal with this, but by going down, he's going to lose 1 without doing any damage, and he's going to have to retreat the other one back. And it's still low enough health that he can just be attacked by the Marines. This base is almost certainly going down if Cryok decides to attack it. There are some reinforcement units coming up from behind, but they're going to have to... No, Cryok's not going to cover the ramp, so it looks like these reinforcement units are going to be able to clean this up. Cryok still might be able to do some good damage, though. Marines can be hard to deal with once they get behind the mineral lines. You just need to keep running away from the lurkers. And it looks like they're doing a pretty good job of that. Yeah, they're going to kill a good amount of units before they finally go down. So a rather successful attack. Modesty, setting up an expansion on the opposite quarter of the map. So that will be his 4th base, although it's not saturated very much. And Cryok has 4 factories and a starport and an armory off of 2 bases. How close are castles to being mined out? He still has a little bit of time. He's going to have to lift the barracks because he's running out of room. He had to build some supply depots in his natural. And he still has... well, he found those idle SCVs, but still 7 idle SCVs if you don't count that one. Anyway, Modesty's Hive Tech has finished. He has the Defilers out, and it looks like he's going to go for attack. Oh, just barely getting that swarm down in time. Another Defiler dies, sending down a second swarm, and is going to be just enough to force Cryok back, killing off all the siege tanks, and that's going to be huge off of a player who's only on 2 bases. Now he only has 3 siege tanks left. I think he lost 3 in that engagement. It was either 2 or 3. But a good move by Modesty to force Cryok back a bit. And the longer that Modesty delays this third, the better position he's going to be in. He is slightly behind in the sound. He's slightly behind in the supply. But that's something he's going to easily be able to overcome now that he has a 5th base. These top 2 bases really aren't saturated, but it's fine at the moment. Now, he doesn't have a defiler with this army. It's going to be a little bit of a shame. He's going to be able to win this anyway, but he might not be able to keep this force alive if he wants to continue to delay this. Nope, not going to pick up the SCV. There are a few people here because Sale is casting, who is also a good stream, good sound, good caster, interesting matchup, and because this was not announced. So, not many people know about it. And combination of those 2 things means lots of people are going to be watching this on VODs. And that's fine. Krylak's just really having a hard time pushing out. Those fast defilers are really just going to work out very well for Modesty in this game. Because Cryok going mech, it's going to be very slow for him well, never mind. It's going to be very slow for him to push across the map to take out expansions, and Modesty is abusing that fact by taking expansions all across the corners. So Cryok, I think he's really going to suffer from this mech transition. And how much gas is left? Only less than 1,000 gas left in that geyser. And he already lifted off all his barracks. He can't go back to M&M. This, not to mention that he's almost out of minerals as well. He's really just going to suffocate here. And Modesty doesn't even need to go for an attack here, but he is. These siege tanks are kind of undefended. There aren't a marine escort because he lifted off the barracks, and there aren't a vulture escort because he doesn't have the resources to be having a good number. And that means that just a few Zerg units are going to be able to do some good damage. And there are less Zerg units than there are mech units, and yet the Zerg units can kind of bully around the mech force. Anyway, transfers of SCVs a little bit too early. They're gonna make one trip back before they realize the command center is open, but it's gonna be denied before they're actually able to start mining from it. And these siege tanks are pretty much all that Cryok has left, and they're undefended. So speedlings are gonna do okay against them, and that's exactly what Monty's doing. Just a small little packs of Zerglings are eventually gonna be able to whittle it down. This command center is still lifting. He's trying to float a command center out here, but he's not really going to have a way of defending it at the same time. He's got nothing to deal with speedlings. And Modesty, okay, I said he could trickle in Zerglings. I didn't mean like 1 by 1. He needs to group up like 6 of them and go. But Modesty's still in a good position here. He's taking the supply lead, which he probably should have against a mech player. And, looks like Cryok is going to be able to populate an expansion. For a little while, at least. It depends on how long Modesty allows that to live. Oh, and Ultralisks are out. 5-2 Ultralisks at that. Oh, man. Now, this mineral field has been depleted, so there are just... This is Cryok's only expansion at the moment. And he doesn't have a lot of forces to defend it. Ooh, this is not good at all. He really wants to take this expansion, but he knows that it's going to be shut down as soon as he lands at command center. And now... Okay, don't scourge barracks. That's like... I mean... Yeah, I can't think of a worse way to use scourge. Alright, anyway, it doesn't matter, though. Modesty has swarms, so he's just going to be able to chew through this, and the big tank force of Cryok is going to go down slowly but surely. That was kind of funny. He just, like, used all his screws on the barracks. Alright, anyway. Ultros is still going to be able to deny this expo. So, it's going to have to lift again. And meanwhile, Cryok's tank force is just slowly decreasing, and he really can't build many more to replace it. And this actually might be the final attack. They're being surrounded by both sides. A mine going off, killing 3 of the tanks, and GG! That's it. Modesty takes game 1 for Team Pain. Very nice. Alright. So, going into set 2. And this is the only set I'd have, because AY hasn't sent me the rest of the replays yet. Alright. So, for the second matchup, we have DM Noid versus Elena Payne. Huh, okay. Orange? There we go, orange. And DM Noid is yellow. That's not yellow. Alright. So, a PvT on match point. That is a good matchup. Oh man, match point is a good map, and it really just PvT on match point, man, are good. Now, I don't know anything about Noid. I have never heard of this guy, so I can't comment on him. But Elena is one of my favorite players who isn't like top tier foreigner. Elena's play reminds me a lot of Haya's. And I don't mean Haya as in like Haya versus 3 on Triathlon, that Elena's gonna go lock down nuke cloaked Wraith, but it's just like a really aggressive style of Terran, and a style of Terran that doesn't quite follow convention, and they'll mess with it just a little bit to change it up. You're not really expecting that kind of build order, and it will some really cool stuff can happen. So I've really enjoyed the games I've casted from Elena. Anyway, as you saw, scouting for the proxy here, Matchpoint is a notorious map for where you can sneak a probe along the corner and then build stuff here. That's a terrible way to lose on Matchpoint. But no proxy for either player this game. That's good. Otherwise, Elena almost built a wall here, and this wall is common on Matchpoint, but didn't actually make the wall. There's still a gap here. I'm pretty sure this isn't... Yeah, that's not tight. So it's not as if you could float the barracks back here that all of a sudden it's a zealot tight wall. It's kind of an odd placement. Whatever. Doesn't matter. It's just going to be 1-Rax FE. Ooh. Okay, not quite 1-Rax FE. As you can see, they saved up 400 minerals, but built the bunker first. It might have reaction to that gas steal. Anyway. It is going to be a 1-Rax FE. It's just a 1-Rax FE that has a bunker first. Ooh, I wonder if it had to do with the fact that he scouted a zealot coming out with this SCV and decided to throw down a bunker because he didn't want to have to deal with this kind of situation without a bunker to fall back on. The zealot's already taken a good amount of damage, and alright, with a little bit of micro, Elena's going to deal with that just fine. Didn't even lose a marine. Very nice. And the bunker's already constructed. Now, by putting the guys in the bunker, you don't have them back here to take out the assimilator, but it looks like this just going to have the team of SCVs take it out. I'm not going to deal with that shenanigans. Alright. Looks like we have some SCV versus probe duels, and the SCV is about to... Oh. Got it. It's about to lose. Oh! Now, Elena kept that scout alive to see that there was 2 gates and no range researched. And a robo facility has been thrown down instead. So we're going to see some real aggression from Noid, and aggression without... excuse me. We're going to see aggression without the... Wow, what am I trying to say? Aggression without the range, and it looks like DT drops. Which is weird, because you throw down the Citadel before the Robo. The Robo's going to finish way before the DTs get out. That's an odd order for DT drops. Not only do you not go 2-gate when you're going DT drops, you build the Citadel before the Robo, so that you're building the Robo at the same time as the Archives, and then the Templars at the same time as the Shuttle. Alright. Anyway, Elena's going to expand here. And this is not too common, despite it being like much closer to your main. Normally, players of all races will just expand along the side and either take this as a third or this corner if they want to gas. But by taking this, it's almost a little bit of a secret, just because your opponent has no reason to go down here, and it's pretty uncommon for a player to look over there. Well, we'll see if that works. Elena has the front boarded up, throwing down the missile turret to detect for DTs. But no missile turrets in the main, and that's what's going to count for a DT drop. Shuttle's done, loaded up with 2 Zealots, and, yeah, 2 Dark Templar on the way. But the dropship could have been flying over at this point if they had building the correct order. Turrets are being placed around the edges. Now, theoretically, if the shuttle flew in, tanked the shots from one of the turrets, and just dropped everything in the mineral line, there's no detection over here. So, it's a little bit... still a little bit worried for Elena, despite the fact that this DT drop is so late, and Elena already has a bunch of turrets. It's possible that stuff gets dropped in the main. Oh, there's no academy, so no scans. I don't even think there are spider mines at this point. No, there's no spider mines. So if Noid gets deterred by these turrets, Elena's going to be successful. But if Noid just ignores it and goes in anyway, Elena could be in some real trouble. Oh, the shuttle flies too close to this, but drops off the 2 DTs. It's only 2 Zealots that die in it. Elena realizes that there are DTs there, and what are the SCVs doing? I have no clue what the SCVs are doing. Okay. Oh, this is bad. I think Elena's trying to just like stack enough SCVs there to prevent the DT from being able to get to the turret. That's an interesting way of doing it, but the turret does get up, so the DTs are going to have to pull back, and there are turrets over here as well. So the DTs will be spotted, no, not quite wherever they go. They could go up and attack these factories. Can't go up into the natural because there are turrets up there, but, no, going to come back. You're going to be able to wail away on these machine shops. The factories could be lifted, but Elena's taking a lot of damage at this point. You already lost so many SCVs. What, 8 and 5? That's 13. Oh, target the machine shop. Aw. I want to see the siege tank target the machine shop and kill the DT with Flash. Oh, the turret doesn't quite range the refinery. Anyway, scans are up. So, will this DT die? Tanks don't do a lot of damage? No. The siege tank in the back picked it up. But now Dragoons at the front. Elena's going to have to rush SCVs, but no, the SCVs don't get there in time. The turret kind of mannered up. So they weren't able to repair fast enough, and now the Marines are going to go down pretty easily. There are siege tanks in the back, and SCV is blocking the front, so the Dragoons will not be able to just run in. Good SCV pull, but there was a lot that are pulled in. Elena is hardly mining at this point. Oh, man. Very good pressure from Noid so far. Oh, man. +1 weapons is on the way, and that's nice. Well, alright. There are enough siege tanks, but these goons just aren't going to be able to do enough, even without a bunker. Rebuilding the bunker anyway. These goons are going to be fine, but... well, Elena's going to have to rely on this command center right now, because Noid doesn't realize there's a hidden command center. And if Noid isn't able to kill with this attack, 2 base Protoss versus 3 base Terran is a terrible position to be in. So... yeah, well, it looks like... is Noid planning on expanding with this? Or is it just scouting? Doesn't quite have enough money for an expansion. It's not staying here. It would appear that this probe is just looking for the expansion. No, it is it is going to be expanding here, building the anti-vulture wall. I'm not sure why there's an SCV here for Elena. Apparently you want to duel the probe. That's how much help you have if there's no micro. Alright, well, Elena can come back in this. Just because of this base, Elena's not horribly behind. It's like almost not... it's not even. But it's a hell of a lot closer to even than it would be. This should be good. Now, spam in the factories. 5 factories with no machine shop and 2 with. That's a good ratio. Normally you want a little bit more tanks than that, but Elena already has a good tank presence. So assuming that this doesn't all just die to these Dragoons, which it shouldn't, Elena's going to have a good ratio, making more vultures than tanks. I did lose 1 tank, but that's fine. Now, Elena's going to slowly start to move forward. It looks like Elena's setting up to take this mineral only. And I like that decision. You already have 3 gas. You don't need a 4th gas. But it would be nice to get that mineral only just to be able to flood with the vultures. But by starting to push out, it's a lot harder to hold this ramp or even this ramp compared to this choke that you have Sin City well. So, Noid's attack here could be very successful. Vultures are going to see them start to come out, but Noid doesn't have an observer. Oh, that mine was picked up. There's an observer. It's just lacking a little bit. And now this is going to be hard to hold off. I think this command center is going to have to be canceled. Expansion going down just gets scanned by Elena, so Elena knows that a third is on the way. Going in for the attack. Mines kill off a couple of the Zealots, but I'm not even sure how Zealots got back there. Zealots are distracting the tanks, and now these Dragoons are going to be able to close the distance pretty easily. There were Zealots that came up from behind, and that is going to be a decisive victory for Noid. Now, Elena's going to run back with the Vultures, but now Elena's in the situation of there's a lot more Vulture production than there is tank production, and you need tanks at this point. The Vultures aren't going to help out very much against all these Dragoons. The Dragoons are going to take down the front, killing off the bunker, probably killing off the barracks and the eBay before moving in, unless they decide to ignore it. But no, just going to be an A move, destroying everything in their path. How much longer till tanks come out? There are 2 tanks, they're not even halfway done. These goons are going to be pretty dangerous, and now one goon trying to distract mines leaves one there. Oh, very lucky mine hit, does damage to 5 different Dragoons. And are these vultures going to be enough to clear the distance? Trying to lay mines, trying to pull a flash here. And it's not quite working. The mines aren't detonating, but it looks like just barely these vultures are going to be able to hold off the Dragoons. Oh, very close. That could have been a lot worse. Building-wise, only losing the bunker and the turret. But did lose all the vultures, so Elena's back to square 1 in army composition. And another big force is coming out for Noid. A little bit Zealot heavy, even. Alright. So, once again, I'm going to try to take this command center, and I don't like that decision. There's just no way you can defend that. You're already on 3 bases. You don't have a desperate need to take a 4th at this point. I think you might be better off just not doing this. Although they run in Zealots 1 by 1, it's fine. So that's cool. And actually, they lost like half their Zealot force. It might be enough to hold. How's the mineral situation looking? Noid's almost mined out in the main, sells a lot at the natural, and then does have this base, which is not saturated at all. Just spammed up 5 probes there. So Noid's not looking terribly good on the economic front. Now Elena does have much more saturation than Noid does because the DTs did slow down mining, which obviously isn't a good thing, but it does mean that when Noid mines out, Elena still has a bit more time before they need to take a base. Nope. Running some vultures into Dragoons. But, there's not an observer here. Oh man, I want to just stay on these units and watch them take one step forward and I'll get blown up. But I should probably be looking elsewhere. Anyway, these are very anti-vulture walls, throwing down the cannons as part of the wall to not allow the vultures to just sit here and try to wail away on pylons. So Elena's going to have actually going to have a really hard time being vulture harassed, because if you can't harass this base, which pretty much you can't, then all that's left is the main. Darn, an observer came along. Going to be able to scout those mines. And are these cannons? Ooh, making a wall with the cannons, and actually the vultures can take down morphing cannons fast enough. Going to stop the expansion if nothing else, and the cannons get cancelled. Nice move by Elena to scout out this base. Leaving some mines there, which prevent, which prevent the Nexus from being thrown down. You didn't have to bring units there. And now, Elena slowly but surely has made a comeback in this game. Is ahead in supply by, what, like 25? And has a solid 4 bases. This DT is now finally going to scout this base. See that these mineral patches are already more than halfway depleted. And I think Elena's going to have to, Elena's going to have to lift and run. But it's already established a very nice economic advantage, and is still mining off of more bases than Noid is, considering that Noid doesn't have any minerals in the main, and Elena still does. Are these ones going to be activated? No. Not quite. Well, this command center is going to be killed. Elena probably should have floated it over here if they had enough time to not lose its goons, but just a little bit of a misstep there. It's gonna be fine. Not that strapped for cash. Although it does supply block leaving that command center. So that's a little bit annoying. Now Elena can't rest on their laurels that much. The main and the natural are both almost mined out now. So you do need to start to make sure that you can reestablish another base. But this base is looking pretty secure at this point. An observer will see it, but at the same time, this imposing Terran force is really going to hamper Protoss movement. And once Terran can take up this high ground position, the game's almost over on match point. Those high grounds mean so much. You control so much space with them. They have such an economic advantage. And what is this? Noid switching to D-Web. Alright. It doesn't look like it's going to work out very well, just because there are so many siege tanks that you can't cover them all. One Corsair is going to go down. The other one might go down as well. It's trying to snipe science vessels, but there were a couple of Goliaths in there, and the Goliaths can kill it much faster than it can the science vessels. So, minor slowdown with the D-Webs, but I think Noid made a pretty big mistake going for it, because now you don't have any arbiters, so your force is pretty vulnerable. I mean, you just have a bunch of Dragoons to deal with this very very good composition of Terran units. And now Karen has effectively secured this high ground prod, bringing in a few zealots, and GG from Noid. Elena surviving the DT drop and coming back, man. Pretty good. Alright. I did get the next replay, but I did not save it, so let me do that now. Alright. So, set number 3 of Pain versus TM. It looks like it's going to be on Gladiator. So, we have Reaper versus Zork. Alright. Reaper versus Zork. Is that how you capitalize Zork? Nope, it is not how you capitalize Zork. And I believe Zork's the blue one. No, Zork is the teal one. And Reaper is the blue one. Alright. PvP on Gladiator. Now this is the second DM player that I haven't seen before, and I casted a lot of DM's games, so it's kind of interesting seeing them running a very different lineup than they have in the past. Alternatively, though, Reaper is a staple of the Pain team, gets a lot of playtime, and is a solid Protoss player. Nothing too spectacular, but plays by the book, and wins the games that he should, and loses the games that he should. I was going to say wins the games he should and loses the games that he shouldn't, but then that just means he should win every game. It doesn't really make sense. And then saying should twice doesn't sound very good. There was a better way to construct that, but I was kind of like halfway through the sentence before I realized it wasn't going to work out correctly. Anyway, cross positions, PvP. Both players going to go for Gateway first. We shall have no 12 nexing today. Now, this is a reverse ramp map. We've seen a big trend of reverse ramp maps over the past year from Pro League. And I would say reverse ramp maps affect PvP the most. Because in PvP, you have the situation most common where you have a unit where you're going one base versus one base with ranged units. And it's almost game over when you have a similar number of goons and your opponent's on the high ground and you are on the low ground. There's just nothing you can do to get up there. Reavers help and DTs help if your opponent doesn't have detection at that point, but really that's it. Those reverse ramps are just so hard to deal with if you allow yourself to get into that position. Now, there are certain ways to counter that. If you go fast Reavers, you'll be able to get up there, assuming that they didn't get Reavers. You can go for a fast expansion, so that if you lose your expansion, you kind of already lost the game anyway. But it means that you can do your engagements up on the high ground. But it's something that both players definitely need to consider and really fear the reverse ramp. But so far, both players going for one gate tech builds. As is normal in the PvP matchup. We'll see what they're going for afterwards. Probably both going to go for Robos. It's just a matter of will you go Observer first or will you go Reaver first. If you go Reaver first, you do have a slight advantage over the Observer first player, but not a terribly big one. It's going to be pretty similar no matter what build they do at this point. As you can see, both of them are going for range. Zork's is a little bit later, but that's the indicator that they're not going for DTs. Because if you were going for DTs, you would want to hide it from this probe going around, but you would get the cheaper building, the cheaper upgrade, +1 attack, so that your opponent would still see the spinning core, but wouldn't know what was going on. Now, Dragoons are out, so Dragoons will be able... Apparently there's some probe issues. So the Dragoons are going to be able to clean up the scouting probes. Now, and this is going to be the first deviation of the build orders. Zork throwing down an extra gateway before the Robo, while Reaper is going for an expansion first. Now, this is what I was saying about if you go for expansion first, then you get to defend at this point, which is easier than defending at this point. Despite it being a bigger choke, it's not uphill. And that quote-unquote 30% miss chance, which is more like 70%, makes a really big difference. Now, how delayed... The Robo facility for Reaper isn't that much slower than Zork's, so it won't be an issue of having to deal with a Reaver attack before the opponent gets there. It's just Zork's going to have a few extra units when going in for the attack. We'll have to see. As you can see, it's only 4 units right now for Reaper compared to 6. Well, 5 if you count that Dragoon. But you're going to be able to produce 1 extra Goon before these gateways finish. It's going to be pretty similar. It's going to be pretty similar unit numbers. And if Zork isn't able to win the battle and doesn't go for an expansion really soon, then the economic advantage is going to be too great. First, is there not a... there's a revive support. Build to the shuttle early. Now, if you're wondering why he built the shuttle early, because the shuttle doesn't do anything until the Reaver comes out, and the Reaver tech was the last building anyway, so why didn't you just build the Observer first? It was because he wanted to start... Because when the Robo finished, he immediately started the shuttle, and the observatory wasn't done. So he could have delayed... So he could have gotten the Observer out slightly faster, but it would mean that Reaver would be delayed. And that's the last thing he wants. He really does not want to delay the Reaver from coming out. So by going for the shuttle, you do get a slower Observer out, but you don't have a slower Reaver. And that means more. In fact, Zork's not even going to go and scout with the Observer. He's just going to stay behind with it. Anyway, Zork's actually been doing a pretty poor job with scouting. Reaper kept a couple units out here. He had the probe down in this low ground, and he had a Dragoon poking at the front, so he knows relative army strength of Zork. But Zork hasn't moved across the map since that first scouting probe. I mean, this is like the extent of how far Zork's gotten. It looks like now Zork's moving out, but not realizing that Reaper got the faster expansion. I don't think Zork's in a very good position. Does he even have a supply lead anymore? No. He's got actually a significant supply deficit. 7 supply in a PvP is pretty big. He's going to have some really nice micro. Where is the shuttle with the Reaver in it? It is out. Does Reaper have their... No, Reaper does not have a Reaver. Okay, so this is what it's going to come down to. It's going to have to come down to some very nice Reaver shots. Reavers do make huge difference in these battles. But will it be enough of a difference, knowing that there's going to be a Reaver coming back? As you can see, Reaper has about even army supply, and Reaper is running around, getting a good surround on it. Surrounds are really effective because it means that you're going to trap the Reaver, and, focuses down the shuttle first, then gets the Reaver. Are the Goon numbers still strong enough? Yes, it looks like there are just enough Goons that Reaper will be able to take this battle even without a Reaver of his own. And even sniped the Observer before Zork's able to snipe the counter one. And now that the Reaver's out and Reaper has one and Zork does not, Zork certainly is not going to be able to do anything here. Now, Reaper can't move out until that shuttle finishes, but Zork's just so far behind now. 52 supply compared to 77. Man, it's not even close anymore. Yeah, Zork is now just getting up to the same number of gateways, throwing down a Citadel, but both players already have observers out, so it's a little bit late for DTs. It might be for High Templar, but going for a tech switch when you're already behind 20 supply, 30 supply. Anyway, will Reaper move out now, or will Reaper wait for the second Reaver? Nope, Reaper is moving out now, and I think that this is going to be a game-ending attack. There are a lot of Dragoons, and with the Reaver support, that's going to be a lot. Zork does have a Reaver of their own, but a unshuttled Reaver is a lot less powerful than a shuttled one. The shuttle effectively doubles the health of the Reaver. Not to mention Reaper already has a much higher number of Dragoons. Zork could try to engage and get a high ground advantage here, but then you're not dealing with the choke, and that's a really risky move. So it probably would have been a bad idea to advance like that. But here comes the attack. Will they be able to defend? Reaver getting some very nice shots off. The Reaper is moving up to snipe the Reaver. And now, Reaper is the only player with a Reaver. And it looks like this is just going to be it. I don't think that there's a way that the Dragoons are going to be able to hit the Reaver, and as long as the Reaver's living, there's nothing Zork can do. A GG, and Pain goes up 3-0. I don't have the next replay yet. Oh! As soon as I hit enter, like the next one comes through. But Skype is pretty brutal at saying who sent the message first. So I was in the wrong, because he got it there before next. Alright. Alright. Alright, so set number 4, Pain is going to have a chance to close us out right here in DM. Not having the best of a season, but losing to Pain isn't very good. Oh, man. Alright, so we have LML versus Hasky. LML was in chat earlier. I don't know if he's still around. LML versus Hasky? Is that how you do it? No, it's not. Oh! Why do you have capitalization patterns like this? It's just begging for me to get it wrong. Alright. Hasky. I already forgot the colors. Hasky is orange. I probably should have just looked at the races. It would have been easier. Hasky is orange. LML is red. And a PvP... Oh. right. A PvP on Icarus. Cross positions once again. Although, cross positions on Icarus is the same distance as close positions on a normal 4-player map. Just because of the weird spawning locations. Oh! Nice. LML is in chat. So, LML is a bit better than Hasky. So I think that DM has the advantage of this match. And I don't want to see DM go out 4-0. So, let's go, man. Let's go. Anyway, Hasky pretty late with the gas. Wait, what? Why is this gas so much faster? It's not... Hasky can't even afford the second gateway yet. Why is Hasky so much poorer? Did LML cut probes? LML cut probes. Oh, okay. I see what's up. Anyway, LML's going 2-gate. And... oh, we'll see. We'll see how the 2-gate works. I assume LML was hoping that his opponent would be on a closer position because the distance on this map is pretty much the smallest out of any used map still. But unfortunately, he's going to be cross. Wait, you didn't... I don't know how you didn't cut probes, because you had, like, 3 supply less than Hasky did. Now you don't, because you're going 2-gate, so but you're only ahead by 2 supply. I don't know then. I don't know why LML had more probes. Or more money, not more probes. Anyway, not important. Hasky going for the very fast robo. 1 gate, 1 core, 1 robo. Now, that can be pretty risky, especially if he goes observer first before, before the Reaver, then LML is going to have a pretty good shot to do a lot of damage here with his first attack. But if Hasky goes Reaver first, then Reavers at the top of the ramp should be enough to hold off an early attack. But we'll see what he goes for. He has enough money for both buildings. And nope, going for the Robo Bay first. Okay. LML actually wasn't producing constantly out of his gateways, so he's going to have a pretty similar army size to Hasky, but his tech is going to be slightly delayed. How fast is Hasky's range already done? I'm not sure. Probably. Anyway, LML's going observer first, so his Reaver will be quite a bit slower than Hasky's, but I don't think the time difference is actually going to be enough for Hasky to fly his Reaver all the way over before LML gets his first Reaver out. And Hasky didn't even build the shuttle first, so yeah, it's definitely going to be slower. Alright, well, wait. Okay, Hasky's moving on a little bit. I assume he's not attacking. No, he's gonna stop here. But no, he wasn't just going for the probe. Okay, I'm gonna start doubting myself. He's moving his army out so that he can set up an expansion, and I believe that is what that probe is for. Meanwhile, LML also has a probe in position to expand, but doesn't have his army to cover it. Not that he needs it to. Even supplies. And, oh. The probe left. It's actually not going to expand. Wait, what? My keyboard's broken. Shit. Okay. See, I'm not touching my keyboard buttons, but it just keeps scrolling down. And I can go side to side, but I can't scroll up. And scrolling up is an important tool to have. So, quick timeout. I have to figure out which one of these cords is the one to the keyboard, and then unplug it, and then plug it back in, and that should fix it, I would think. Alright. Unplugging it. Replugging it in. And... no, it's still plugged down. Okay. Like... Alright, so this, ladies and gentlemen, is why you never throw away electronics. Because I just went into my cabinet, and I pulled out the keyboard from my computer from like 6 years ago. And the keyboard still works fine, I think. Or not. Oh, fuck. Dude, I unplugged the other keyboard. Why? Oh, fuck. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, it worked. It just, the keyboard needed time to boot up or something. I don't know. Okay. So, we're back. And what I was saying is that after slightly different openings, the players are almost in the exact same position. Haski's expansion is slightly faster than LML's, but other than that, their tech is the same, they have the same number of gateways. And... oh, I think Hasky has an extra reaver? Yeah, Hasky had one reaver out, and LML does not have his first reaver out quite yet. But it's on the way. So unless Hasky is making another reaver, which he's not, they're essentially at the same position. And both players lose an observer in their opponent's bases. Nice observer placement. This is a typical path for shuttles to move in if you want to harass, and Icarus is a map that's a bit easier to harass than other ones, especially if you were in the 12 or 6 o'clock position. So nice move by LML to use an extra observer just to look over it there. Has LML... LML's now adding on his gateways. So LML was a little bit later in adding on gateways 3 and 4, but he's going to be a lot faster in adding on gateway number 5, as Hasky has not started it, and LML just finished it. But is Hasky going to move out now? There's a probe with this army. Actually, 2 probes. So it's almost as if the probes are trying to set up an expansion? No, one of the probes is saying... is there just a bad rally point? Because now that's like a 3rd probe coming out, and one of the probes went back, and now another probe. I think that was the same. I think that was the same as the first probe. Okay. Hasky is going to move out with his army and try to expand. Going to go to this, and it's going to be pretty hidden. See how long it takes LML to discover it. But here comes the first attack. They still have even supplies, correct? No. Hasky actually separated himself a bit. Oh, no, LML just was a little bit behind with his production supply. So he's going to be behind by about 5 for this attack coming in, but he does have a defender's advantage. However, he only has 1 Reaver without a shuttle. Hasky does have the shuttle for his Reaver. There's a 2nd Reaver coming for LML, but if Hasky attacks now, it's going to be too late. But it looks like Hasky's not going to attack immediate. Oh, Hasky's going to back up. So LML's Reaver will join the rest of his army in time. And LML is also expanding. Now, neither player knows about the 3rd of their opponent. Yeah, man, we'll see. Is the shuttle at least on the way for LML? He's letting a third Reaver before shuttle? Interesting. Now, obviously, the Reaver is more effective than the shuttle in combat, but if you don't have a shuttle at this stage in the game for PvP, you're essentially announcing, I do not want to attack my opponent ever. Or at least not until I make that shuttle, which isn't coming out for a while. But with 3 Reavers, you can't take 3 Reavers in one shuttle, obviously. So, will he wait for a second shuttle, or will he leave one of his Reavers home? When 120 to 114, so Husky still with a slight lead. It should be decreasing if he didn't add on more gateways yet. Nope, he hadn't on a 5th gateway. So, it's going to remain about the same. Husky built a gas... Oh, now he's mining from it. There we go. A forge going down for Husky. So, he'll have an upgrade advantage. Oh, never mind. LML's forge was first. So, he will not have an upgrade advantage. LML getting the Templar Archives, which it doesn't look like Husky has. He has the Citadel, but no speed. Is that a second forge? That is double forge. Neither of them getting upgrades yet. He hasn't been mining off of that second gas, so he's a little bit gas short. Now we have some movement out in the middle of the map. LML starting to poke out of his base, and here comes the engagement. Who's going to have the better angle? Looks like LML has a nice big arc here. One of the Reavers goes down. LML doing a very nice job sniping. He picked up both of the Reavers. No! Husky picked up a Dragoon on accident. So he messed up really badly with his Reaver micro, and he's going to lose that battle horribly. And now that should be just about GG from Husky. It's a 106 supply compared to, 110 to 80. And I don't think Husky's going to be able to make enough stuff to hold off this attack, considering that LML did not lose his Reavers. There's not even one building for Husky. Husky doesn't have Templar or anything, right? No. Nope, he's pretty much done now. Neither player realizing that their opponent expanded. Or at least not attacking that direction. Actually, it doesn't look like LML did expand. I think there's only one little red dot down there. But GG from Husky. So, LML, not going to let DM go out 4-0. We're going to have a game 5, at least. Alright, I said that there would be a game 5, and there is not a game 5. DM had no more players. I guess that explains why they were using new players. But Payne is going to win the 5th set via walkover. So Payne will win 4-1. Alright. I'm going to restart the recording.